make the impossible transition from video game consoles to a book, which are kind of like video games, in just paper form, I think. And they're pretty linear, and you only go one way, and you don't get to choose. Most books, you don't get to choose which way you're going to go, unless it's a choose your own adventure.
Or you don't go any way in the course of this book.
We're reading. Yes, it's very good. We're talking about Catch-22. You can also see it on the screen by this guy, Joseph Heller. It was a book that was, they call it the cornerstone of American literature and one of the funniest and most celebrated books of all time. I don't agree with some of that, and maybe this is just 60 years after it.
No.
But we did want to talk about this as kind of we've been doing a monthly book club between Templar and I, and also between our Lux Digital Church server. You can be a part of that as well. And as I stall to pull up my notes over here, I think one of the things we do want to talk about this book, we kind of want to talk in broad. I do think there are some things in this book that are pretty broadly applicable to today's life. I also think it's just it was an energy drain first and foremost.
Yep.
To frame the whole thing, though, everyone goes, "Oh, Catch-22," and it's part the phrase Catch-22 is part of modern lexicon, for better or for worse. But most people don't know what it actually means. Most people just go like, that's a Catch-22, like a Sophie's Choice or something. Like I have to choose between two bad things. And what Catch-22 is actually not that. Catch-22 is it's being inside of a system that feels unwinnable. You cannot win inside of a Catch-22 system. One of the quotes, and I wrote this quote down. This is Dr. Nika talking to Yossarian, who's the pilot. We'll talk about these characters in a minute, but Dr. Nika, this basically sums up the whole book. He says, you can be grounded if you're crazy, but if you ask to be grounded, you're sane, so you have to fly, which is the circular logic inside Catch-22. So let's talk about what the book really is about. First and foremost, Templar, give me your overriding sort of thoughts going into the book. What did you know going into the book? What did you know about Heller and the story? Go.
Well, I had read it back in university, so I actually had a fairly positive mindset going in because I remember liking it in university, or at least having a generally positive idea of it. Now, it was long enough ago that I didn't really remember a lot of the details. I remembered the Catch-22 thing. I remembered the general setting, that it was like a bomber pilot in a just set during World War II. I just didn't really remember any of the additional details. So I was feeling pretty good going into it. My impressions of it were pretty good. And it has a reputation as like an absurdist satire, criticism of various things. So yeah, I was feeling pretty good going into it, and I was aware of kind of that stuff, but it had been long enough that I just didn't remember a lot of the details, which is kind of not a bad place to be, assuming you end up enjoying something.
Which, spoiler warning. So the book itself, written by Joseph Heller, it's a World War II satire, like Templar said. It is set on the island of Pianosa, which is an island off of the coast of Italy. I think it's a real island, although right up front he says, I think this is a real place, but also all of the characters are made up. This is fiction, yada yada yada. And it's a book that is based in war, but it's not really a war book. It's a book that's more about bureaucracy. It's about self-preservation. It's about institutional insanity, if you want to call it that. And it's really about the illusion of control. The entire book is about the illusion of control. Yossarian is this bomber pilot who finds himself wanting to stop flying missions, but he can't stop flying missions because he's not crazy. And so he tries to invent a bunch of different ways to appear that he's crazy, but he's not actually crazy because crazy people don't ask to stop flying. Again, circular logic. And then the book kind of takes some turns, and we'll get to that. I guess overriding, though, did this book feel funny to you? Did it feel exhausting? Did it feel task-oriented? Like how did this book feel to you?
Yeah, it's a tough one, because especially the first half was a struggle. So there were definitely parts that were funny, and I think the book is overall, because I'm going to be fairly negative in terms of my impression of it, even though the book itself, I think, was well constructed in the sense that the book is very circular, So you end up like, you'll see a scene, then something will happen, especially in the first like half of the book. You're getting introduced to so many different characters. And so you'll get a scene, you'll get introduced to a character, but then later on in a chapter, something will just be mentioned, but that mention will then start a new section which brings you back to a previous scene. Like Yossarian will mention him going into the hospital or a mission, and then you jump to that mission taking place, which was before a previous scene you had already seen, and then him going into the hospital after that mission to like, so it's all kind of scattered and circular, but it all lines up, or at least it seems to line up. So it's well constructed in that sense. There are parts of it that are very funny. I found this, especially the first half, exhausting. Like, exhausting is the word, because I had read something like 18 books or something like so far in the year going into reading this book. Because I've been in a 40K kick, so I read a whole 40K book series, Gaunt's Ghost, which is a good sci-fi war series. But there's like 16 books in it, or 15. I read them all in a short amount of time. It took me 10 days to get through half of this book. And then I read the second half in one day.
Yeah.
Like, so the first half was kind of excruciating. And I think I also, once it gets in your head that like, I'm not enjoying this, it just kind of makes it worse. Because then every time I picked the book up, it was just like I was staring at, like I would read 2 pages and look at how much percentage I was done through the book on my Kindle. And it's like, that's not a good way to read. Like, because you're never really getting into the flow of it. I'm just like, I would read a page or 2 and then I'm looking to see where I am. But yeah, I think it does what it's trying to do well. Like, I think it is an effective criticism of bureaucracy, kind of ridiculousness around war and hierarchies and people kind of dodging responsibility, but also people like not really thinking too deeply about anything, and how much people would do for appearances versus like actually trying to be competent. So there's a lot there, and I think it's very effective in that. But as someone who maybe over time has become a bit more of a plot focused reader, the plot, especially in the first half, is like I said, it's every chapter you're basically getting introduced to someone else. The plot isn't really moving in any appreciable way, and you're just kind of going back and seeing things you've already seen. So it's all clever, but it's not moving forward. Doesn't feel there's any propulsion to it.
Yep.
And I think that made it very difficult for me. The second half has more propulsion to it.
For better or for worse.
And for better or for worse. And like, so it actually starts going somewhere, which at least for me then made it a little better. And like I said, like I was into it a little more. And so I had a day off. So I basically just finished reading the book that day. And so it was all right, you know? And so where I come down on it kind of mixed, because I think if you were into the structure of it, I can absolutely see why people would love this book. I'm not into the structure really, even though I admire how impressive the structure is, because I'm sure it took a lot of planning. I didn't enjoy the structure. So for me, it was kind of a grind.
So yes, and I think I agree with you that I can see why people laud this book as being very well crafted, very well written. To me, it feels we're and we've talked about this in previous episodes, but it feels like a giant protracted Seinfeld episode. That's what it feels like. There's a plot. There is
especially the first
half when they're introducing all the things, and I think when Heller's introducing all the things, and like you're getting the characters, there are main characters. There's a lot of characters in this, and a lot of like characters that are named just by adverbs or just by adjectives, by the things that they do. Sure. That actually have a name that you learn, and like, wait, that's the name. And then people are just changing ranks halfway through. So general is busted down to like ex private, and just, it's stuff like that. But it's supposed to mirror, right? Like it's supposed to mirror the Catch-22. It's supposed to mirror, like the entire book is supposed to mirror like, yo, you can't get out of this system. Like you're in the system, you can't get out. It's supposed to mirror that whole thing. And like the fragmented storytelling, the repeated scenes from new angles over and over and over. But what I will say is when you hit sort of, well, hold on, let me back up, because there's a couple other things that I find fascinating. So there's a guy in there named Danica, Daneeka, Danica, not Danica. Okay, let's reset. So for those of us just tuning in, I had to edit something out. There might have been some buttocks on screen that we didn't want to see. speaking of Catch-22, it was just, I just couldn't get out of that as I was talking. And I looked over and there was just a man standing there. Catch-22 is this kind of self-sealing system. You can't win, you can't opt out. The rules are protecting themselves. And you see that built in guys like Dr. Nika. You see that in the mission counts constantly being raised. You see that in Milo Minderbinder's Syndicate. You see that in just all of these things that if you zoom out, if you're zoomed in on them, it's like, this is absurd. What do you mean? But if you zoom out, you go, oh no, this is all part of the same system. Like this is all part of the Catch-22 system. Absurd. Yeah, it's all absurd. Like you cannot get out, and you're trapped in it. And so it protects itself. And like, this is where I started to like, okay, what actually is like this in today's day and age? And I came up with a couple of lists, or a couple of things. So number one, the common corporate performance culture says that like, yo, once you're in the job, you need to kind of like suborn yourself to these rules. These rules are constantly going to be changing. You don't actually know if you're winning or losing, but you have to perform by these rules to move ahead. But they're constantly going to be raising the mission count, or they're constantly going to be protecting their own, like that type of thing. I think political systems, that's just an easy swing. Like political systems are a Catch-22. You're damned if you do, damned if you don't. I think honestly in the gaming circles too, MMO grind mechanics are a Catch-22 in and of themselves. World of Warcraft was freaking perfect for this. World of Warcraft made you pay $14.99 a month to go in and hit number 1, number 4, and number 6 while you're using WASD, to talk with your friends, to then do the same thing for another month, and to make sure that you were part of it, you paid another $14.99. Like, and it's just Milo saying like everyone has a share. Well, what does that mean? Well, you have a share, but what does that mean? You have a share, and it's never really explained, which I think is fantastic. And it's almost like Catch-22 is what, not the book, but like the system is what happens when survival replaces virtue. Like you're just surviving. Like Yossarian, you watch Yossarian, like, and I want to transition to him in a second, but you watch him kind of descend into this madness over and over and over, like to the point of he actually is crazy. Like spoiler, he ends up naked in the book. Well, sort of. He ends up way more naked in the TV show, which we'll talk about the TV show in a second. But I want to talk about Yossarian real quick. So he wants to live. He's not trying to be a hero. He gets a medal because he turned a plane around and rebombed something and then ends up getting somebody killed. He doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to die for somebody else's ego. And so my question to you, Templar, is Yossarian, is he selfish? Is he sane in an insane world? Is it just survival instinct? Like, who is Yossarian in this whole thing?
Ooh, I think he ends up recognizing the insanity of the world around him, especially by the end. There's like a pretty poignant scene near the end of the book where he's walking down the street and he kind of sees everything that's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. And I think it does drive home this idea that like he's sort of been pretending to be insane, but like he is, and it's just all just highlighting how absurd everything is around him. It's hard to know though. I think it's complicated in terms of where you're supposed to land with him, because I think he comes up with these justifications for like why someone else should fight instead of him. Yep. And I think they don't really work that well. Like he's trying to get out of fighting and people make arguments about why he should, but he's kind of trying to dodge that. And I think his arguments don't really make sense. I think they're kind of weak arguments. So like, is he a coward or is he just kind of being reasonable? Because like, who would want to do this? Like nobody. Does it need to be done? Like it's, there's a lot of these kinds of questions and I don't know where to come down on it. I think he like thinks he understands, and then by the end, I think he doesn't really understand. And or he thinks he understands earlier, and then by the end, he kind of sees it for what it actually is, and he actually understands sort of by the end. Like, and the idea he had at the beginning wasn't right. Like, wasn't what he thought it was. Isn't totally how kind of messed up and everything it actually was by the end.
So I also think there's a tension that he has in the book where he is constantly being beset by his own base instincts to like sleep with women, to like sleep, to like do all these other things. Like, and women in this book are used just
Yeah.
and it's like frustrating maybe in the 21st century to just read like they some of the women don't even have like Nately's whore and Nately's whore's sister like that, like they didn't even
names. Yeah.
they didn't even give them names. Side note, in the TV show, they actually give those girls names, which I think is really cool. They actually have names. I think one of them's Clara and one of them's somebody else. Like, good on you, George Clooney and whomever else created the TV show. Again, I want to talk about the TV show in a minute. But also, like, everyone has accepted this madness, and Yossarian has just kind of like, he's like pushing back against it. And I think that's interesting. And it's almost like Heller, this is like sort of biographical, I guess, according to people that have talked to Heller, because he was a fighter pilot. He was a bombardier, I guess, like a nose gunner. And so he kind of got to witness some of these things, which lends itself to the humor of the book, right? Like the book it's repetitive, it's ridiculous, it's absurd, but towards the end, and this is where I want to kind of transition to the end. It becomes like devastating. I felt something towards the end of the book. So talk to me like that one day that you were like, all right, I plowed through it. Like what changed, like in the plot, in the story, what changed for you?
Yeah, well, I think to some extent I kind of got over like, all right, I didn't need to stop just like glancing at the page count every like couple pages. I just need to sit down and kind of actually live with this. I think on the other part, it's like, I think the plot does start to be a bit more propulsive, like as you get towards the second half of the book.
Mm-hmm.
Like it does start moving forward, such as it is. So that does grab you more. Yeah, I think the tone kind of shifts somewhat. So yeah, I think it just grabbed me enough after most of the setup was done that I was able to just kind of continue following through with it, and I enjoyed it much more. Like the second half, I was into, at least I enjoyed reading it much more. As much as the first half I think is done well for what it's trying to do, I just struggle with what it's trying to do. So yeah, I think I just like made an intention to sit down with it, and I think the book shifts enough that it was more appealing to me as a reader, like for what my preference is like in reading. Like I like things where the plot tends to like move quite well.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it just came around for me. But I absolutely agree that the end is there's some pretty devastating scenes at the end. Like that scene, again, with Yossarian walking down the street of Rome and seeing everything that's going on. And then how that scene ends is kind of the final, like to your point about the women being sort of dehumanized in this book, that's like the peak of that.
Mm-hmm.
Like that, the end of that walk where he arrives at the apartment, and we're kind of being light spoilery here. Like I won't say exactly what happens, but there's something that happens there that is the peak of that idea, that like these women are just kind of also part of this system, but they're just like a commodity in this system being used up to kind of keep it running, to basically keep the men sane, sort of like, and you see Yossarian engaging in that, as you said, like he's trying to get out of this, but he's also engaging in these things that are meant to distract the pilots and distract the officers to like keep them going. Like they get tense. It's like, so they're allowed to go to Rome for a week or whatever, or like a couple of days, and like they sleep around and they drink and whatever, and then they come back and then they keep doing it. And he did it too.
Yeah.
Despite all his objections, despite all of his like trying to get out of it and go hide in the hospital and all this stuff, he did it. Like how much of that is anything other than just a, like going back to kind of what we said in Brave New World of like, this is just a pleasure distraction, distracting from your day-to-day struggle, like your day-to-day reality. And he seems to fall prey to it as well. So I think I almost disagree that they gave them names in the show that's better. I think that actually diminishes somewhat of the point, because I don't think the book is saying that it's good. Like the book isn't, I don't think the book is advocating for that kind of treatment of women.
Oh no.
I think it's highlighting how these women were used. So I understand the choice they made. It's fine in the show. Like it's not a big thing either way. But I think there is something to that, like that these aren't even people in the book. And not to say that those women weren't people, but they were used as if they weren't.
Yeah.
And like there's a commentary there, and it's not saying that that was in any way a good thing. So it's just showing how the system uses people up, both the pilots, the bombardiers, like Yossarian is, and like the women who are sort of tangentially connected to this because they're being used by this system.
Yeah. And also I think it's fascinating that there's not really there's not an evil, there's not a big bad, there's not a, like they kind of talk about the Germans, they kind of talk about the Italians, but like even then the Germans are like selling planes to Milo. For the syndicate. Yeah. Like he's flying all over the place. He's trading with the Italians. Like Milo is becoming mayor of like big Italian cities. Like that. Yeah. That's a funny thing. Like Milo, I think is the cleanest example of all of this. By the way, the villain itself is ambition, it's greed, it's incentive structure, it's fear, it's self-interest. You know, it's loathing. It's all of bureaucracy is kind of the evil thing. Milo though is I think he's like the most fascinating character in the entire book. And it took me a while to like figure out why I thought that is. So Milo, this is from the 1970s that you're seeing on screen. This is the Milo they have here. The Milo they have actually for the TV show I'll show in a minute. He's even better. He plays that character just so well. He's got that kind of like side smirk smile that Milo just kind of has the whole book. Milo is unrestrained by his own conscience to the point of he bombs his own side. he bombs his own side, like because everyone has a share, even the Germans have a share. He has to bomb his own side. Like that line is darkly brilliant. It really is. It's what happens when reputation is just the thing that you need, when profit is the thing you need to hold on to, when morality goes out the window, Can you think of a big bad that I'm not thinking of, like an evil system in the book?
Yeah, well, I think you outlined it. Like, there's other examples of it. Like, Cathcart keeps raising the number of missions because he just wants to become a general.
Yep.
So he doesn't care about like any of the other. He just raises the number of missions. Like everyone else only has to fly, I don't know, 45 or 50 or whatever it is, and he ends up raising, I think, up to 80 by the end of the book.
Yeah.
That they have to do, and which is what's keeping Yossarian there. Because if he let them go at 50, Yossarian would have already been done. Like he would have already gone back, and then I don't know if that would mean they have to go back and then come back for another tour later, but like they would have at least gotten a longer break from it. And so he's another example of ambition. He just wants to be a general. He doesn't care about the rest of it. But then you also have the and he's also incompetent. But then you have like the major who's made a major because his name is Major, because they think he's a major. But like his name is Major. Like his first name is first, middle, and last names are all Major.
Yes.
And so they end up thinking he's a major, and to save face, they just make him one.
Yeah.
Because they don't want the embarrassment of this sergeant, or I think he was
Sergeant Major,
being a major.
Yeah.
So like, but then he wants nothing to do with it because like he didn't want to be a major and he didn't want to be in charge of anything. And like, so he just hides from people, and he tells his assistant, or like the sergeant, like Towser, I think it is, like, if I'm here, don't let anyone in. Like if I'm not here, you can let them in. Which leads to a lot of funny like interactions. But it's just like, he has no business being there. He doesn't want to be there. Like he was just promoted and he doesn't care. And like, he just disappears and runs away from any kind of responsibility. And like, you have so many different examples of issues around bureaucracy and poor leadership. And you have kind of every example of poor leadership, of like disengaged, like cares too much about their own self promotion, cares too much about like glory and self-aggrandizement, of like they want to win medals, they want to whatever. Like you kind of have all of these different things present there, I think, to critique kind of all of what you would see in a military structure or bureaucratic structure. So it's all kind of represented. But yeah, the structure's the villain. I mean, the Germans aren't the villains. Like they're hardly even mentioned. Like they're in it, but they're only mentioned more as a joke for Milo, because at one point the syndicate's hired to bomb a town and hired by the Germans to defend the town. So he's bombing and defending the same town at the same time. And he was like, at one point he says he wasn't actually there, but then later he admits he was actually on the ground with the anti-aircraft guns or something, like, and it's just like, it's all, I don't know. It's funny. But yeah, he gets away with all of it because the claim is, I mean, when he says everyone is share, it's like the claim of it's for the greater good, or like it's for everybody, like everyone will benefit. But a share, saying everyone has a share when no one gets any money or no one gets any actual payout or anything from it means nothing, right? So it's just, it again, like, it's very well done. The struggle is just the structure of it for me. But yeah, the villain is bureaucracy and incompetence and like any number of these like systems that are set up that make no sense. None of how it works makes any sense.
Yeah. Here's Milo in the new show, which, and you can see like he's got just that look right there. That sort of like, let's see if I can inch it forward a little bit. And we're going to pause. That like smirk. He has that smirk the entire show. And I do want to transition to the show. So the show is, I like you was very much like this is going to be a struggle. And then I started watching the new TV show, not the old movie. It's got obviously Coach Taylor in there from Friday Night Lights. It's got Hugh Laurie from House is in it. It's got George Clooney's in it for a little bit. Like George Clooney's actually one of the executive producers of it. Like the acting's really good. It very much is. And they've changed some things from the book. They make some interesting changes, like nothing drastic. Even the ending has kind of changed a little bit. Not to the point of like over the top. It's just they had to kind of change some things just to make it all fit in 6 episodes, I think. But it really captures, it goes from like very funny to like, now we're in the air and getting shot at and we're watching Orr's plane go down. And then now we're doing funny things and we're yelling and we're getting in a fight with a man in a full body cast and we're yelling at a Texan, to now we are back in a plane and somebody's guts are spilling all over the place. And now we're saying something funny, but Arfie is choking a woman and throwing her out the window. Like it does a very good job contrasting the humor of the original, like the dark humor. And like, I highly recommend the show. I really do. And like Templar, I don't even know where you'd get it up there in the cold winter reaches of Canada. But it's 6 episodes. Like you'll fly through it. The music is good. Like the scenery is good. The action is surprisingly good because there's action in it. Like it's surprisingly good. I don't know. I would recommend giving it a whirl. But back to the book. For you, the ending kind of matters. And this is a spoiler warning, so we'll give you 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. You can skip to the bottom if you want to kind of move ahead past the spoiler. But did the ending stick the landing for you? Yossarian quasi leaving. Theoretically, he's
running away to be with Orr.
Yeah,
after he realizes that Orr's
in Sweden
deal was just him practicing crashing so he could get better at it or something, so he could escape and make a break for Sweden, which they establish as this like haven that you can get away to.
Yes.
And being chased by Nately, which is she's just after him, even though he just like goes to tell her that Nately died, and then for some reason she just has like a desire to kill him, like constantly, repeatedly, like. It's an exaggeration of one of those scenes you see where someone gets bad news and they kind of get upset and then maybe they like hit the person who's telling them whatever, but then it just never stops. It's like the Family Guy bit when like
walking
Peter
into rakes
hits his knee and then it's like, yeah, like it goes on forever. Like,
that one. Yeah.
But like so long. It just keeps going for the rest of the book. You think it's going to be one scene. It's like, no, of course it's not. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how this book ends. So, like, yes, fine. Like, I think it lands in the sense that, like, I don't know how else you would end this book, because you can't have just like a happy ending. You can't have an ending where it just like wraps up. You can't have like, oh, like he actually gets sent home. Like, you can't. I just feel like there's almost no way to end it. You just have to end it with kind of more absurdity, which is kind of what they did. Like that at the end, he's preparing to leave, and the Major Danby, I think it is going to help him escape, and then, or at least not like report him. And then at the very end, Nately, she comes back to try to kill him, and he like that's how the book ends, like him jumping to try to get away from her as she's still trying to kill him. And like, so yeah, it lands. I think like the end, again, like the second half, I think moves better. I had a greater appreciation for it, I think, because the plot moved a bit more. And I ultimately like where it ended up.
Yeah. Out of 10, what would you give it?
It's tough because there's a lot that's really well executed in it. And so I think most of the issue with it is just that I'm not into the structure, as I've said. So I don't know how harsh to be on it. Maybe like a 7. I think I was probably in like 6 territory, but I feel like that's probably too harsh because I feel like it is a very good book in a lot of ways. It's just not the structure of the first half is just really tough for me. But I probably could have made more progress if I had stuck with it. So yeah, maybe like a 7. I think there's still enough of the structure that doesn't really appeal to me. Like I have no desire to read it again. So maybe like a 7 because it's tough. But there's a lot of elements of it that are extremely well done. So if you like the kind of disjointed structure of it, I could absolutely see why someone would think it's a masterpiece.
You know, this feels like people that really love like Steve Zissou, that the underwater Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou.
Life Aquatic, sure.
Yeah, this feels like a book that's right up the alley of people that love the Royal Tenenbaums. And like I like the Royal Tenenbaums. I'm just not crazy for Paul Thomas Anderson. Like I'm not crazy for his stuff. Because it feels very crafted in that sort of like almost hipstery vibe, right? Like I feel like hipsters would really love this book. And I don't mean that in a pejorative way. It's just I feel like you need to have a little bit of the absurdity under your belt.
Wes Anderson.
Paul Thomas, PTA did Starship Troopers, right?
There Will Be Blood.
Okay, I'm way off. Okay.
Starship Troopers was it was the guy who did like Total Recall and
Starship. This is really what you come to the Roundtable for.
Verhoeven.
Oh, yes. Okay.
Paul Verhoeven.
Right. Paul Verhoeven. All right. Well, they're all the same guy. They're not the same guy.
Yeah, Wes Anderson. Wes Anderson has that style. Like even if you see a trailer for a Wes Anderson movie before anything, just from the aesthetics, you know it's a Wes Anderson movie.
Like, yeah, they all look the same. They all have this sort of desaturated sepia tone, very, very teal blues. Everybody's eyes look the same. Clothing is, the soundtrack is all the same. I feel like people that love Wes Anderson stuff would love this book. Really do. Like one of the questions I had here is like, who would you recommend this book to? But I give it a 7 as well. Who would you recommend this book to?
I mean, I'd recommend it to anyone. I would just caution them, like, if you're a plot-focused reader, you're going to struggle. If you don't mind something really disjointed, that's like a lot of bits, and you're just kind of okay, keep taking the scenes as they come for, like, that this scene is just like an introduction to something that doesn't matter maybe, or like you're getting introduced to all these characters. Like I might give them a bit of a, just be aware of that as you're going into it. But I'd probably recommend it to just about anyone. I mean, because I think it is, again, like it executes very well what it's trying to do. It's just, I don't always love how it's doing that. So,
yeah, I mean, look at these all look the same. Like all his movies look the same. This is a known quantity. It's just what he does, and he makes his money doing it. And congratulations to him. I would recommend this to people that have the quirky sense of humor. I also would recommend this to people like I do think this is one of those books that you probably should read. Sure. This goes in the sort of like Great Gatsby territory. Although I love the Great Gatsby, this goes into like 12th grade English lit type of territory. This is, or like intro college level literature class. Like you probably should read this. You probably should hear some of the absurdist takes. I do think it does a good job with presenting the setting of it as well. Like there's a decent amount of books that don't do good with setting. But immediately from the word go, like you were dropped into Pianosa and you feel like you're on this island. Although I'm going to be honest, for probably the first 15 or 20 pages, I thought Pianosa was in the Philippines because the way it was talking about being a hot, humid island, I thought we were talking the Japanese theater of war.
I was like the Pacific. Okay.
Yeah. Sure. Like I didn't even occur to me. Like, and then they started talking about bombing Bologna or whatever. And I was like, That's a heck of a plane trip from the Philippines to Bologna. Oh, we're talking an island in the Mediterranean. Oh, okay, I get it now, which makes sense why it's humid and hot.
Yeah.
Anything else before we wrap up our really complete and utterly intriguing retrospective on Catch-22?
No, Mistborn's next up. So if you're interested in old Brando Sando, the Cosmere, the whole universe. I mean, we're not reading all of them certainly, but we are reading Mistborn, colon the Final Empire.
This one, yes, this one here,
the first one, which mostly just says my version just says Mistborn, so I stand by my use of just saying we're reading Mistborn, which I was corrected on. But so March, which obviously has started. We're recording this on the 4th, so but for this month, Mistborn, the Final Empire by Brandon Sanderson, which I'm looking forward to because it's been a long time coming. I'm still in theory, I guess, working my way through the Wheel of Time, but that was going to be like years before I ever got to any of the ones Brandon Sanderson ever wrote, assuming I ever got there at all. So, hey, we're jumping into Mistborn, which I pretty consistently see recommended as the best entry point for him, unless you do one of his standalone or like one of his YA ones. But for series wise, this is probably it compared to like Way of Kings, which is 10,000 pages or whatever it is. So looking forward to it. I'm into fantasy. I haven't started it yet. I've been reading another 40K book.
No, you get out of here.
This Catch-22, like I did end up finishing half of it in one day, as I said.
You need a palate cleanser.
10 days, and I hadn't read anything else in that time. Like I had totally stalled my reading. So I wanted to just read a couple things that would just kind of go easy. So I'm reading a couple Space Marine books. So I'm almost done the second one, and once I'm done that, I'm going to jump into Mistborn. So I'm going to be starting in the next day or two, but I'm looking forward to it.
Here's a question.
You've read it already.
Yeah, I've read it, and I'm going back through it. Here's a question though: when you hold your Kindle, you have a paperweight, right?
Yeah.
When you hold your Kindle, do you tap or do you swipe?
Tap.
Okay, because I've seen people swiping. I'm like, what are you doing? You're wasting so much energy. Like just hit.
I just tap the edge of the page. That's it.
Actually, and I think the newer ones you can set up. You can triple tap on the back to go forward, or you can double tap or triple tap.
I've debated getting one of the newer ones, but mine still works fine. I don't need it. So that's kind of one of those expenses that I just like.
You don't need it.
It's fine.
I want to get out of the Kindle ecosystem. I've been looking at Kobos. They're expensive.
Kobo,
but it has the buttons, right? And like, I want to just be able to hold it and hit a button. I don't even want to tap the screen. I just want to hit the button.
Yeah, I've debated that too. I have I'm really sunk cost in the Kindle. It's tough. So I have so many books on there. And so I would probably just end up having both then. Like maybe I would cancel Kindle Unlimited that I have, but I would probably still keep it because I have so many books that I've downloaded and purchased on my Kindle. But I've also wanted to switch to Kobo. It's just a better, not Amazon, not kind of same sort of practices that go on there. So I'm with you. I have Mistborn on physical and on Kindle. So
what are you reading on? You reading it physical or both?
Yeah, usually I'll go back and forth.
Same.
Like probably it'll be mostly Kindle, like because I tend to read a lot at night, so the Kindle's nice for that. But I'll read the physical, and I also got it on audiobook, so when I'm driving, I'll be able to listen to it. So
you're gonna fly through it. It's not that. I mean, once you get going, once you get past the first probably 2 chapters, you're gonna sail. Once you kind of figure out, again, Sando's real good, like Heller is. Like he's real good at placing you in a world, and then you go. Like the rules of the world are constantly opening around you, but they're like, knowing what I know about the series now, it's the same thing with the Way of Kings or the Stormlight Archive. Like knowing what I know about the world now, I immediately go back and start these books again, and I go, oh, that connects with this thing in freaking book 5. Like he's really good about, he's not trying to figure it out. Like he's at least got like the whiteboard thing happening, which I very much appreciate, versus authors that are constantly trying to retcon. And I don't know. We don't need to talk about this. We can talk about this later. Anything else?
In April closing time, the sequel to Catch-22.
Please no. Is there actually a sequel to Catch-22?
There is. Yeah, it came out like not that long ago. We're not doing that, to be clear. I'm just joking. I would not do that.
Closing time.
Refuse.
Oh wow.
But yeah, he did do a sequel. It didn't come out that long ago. TBD for our next month.
It takes place in New York City in the 1990s and revisits some characters of the original, including Yossarian, Milo Minderbinder, and Chaplain Tapman. He's back. Huh.
Yep.
No thanks. Okay, we're going to end this episode. Nope. We love you. Thanks, everybody, for joining in. Go vote on the thing. There's going to be a link down there. If you have no clue what we're talking about, go watch the previous episode. We're going to link it right here. We love you. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
See y'all.